Hello everybody, my name is Stephanie Bree. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm talking about my beef with Star Trek. So, um, it's, boy, it's complicated. So, let me start off by saying I do like science fiction, and I actually do like some of the Star Trek movies, and I have been able to enjoy bits and pieces of the Star Trek TV shows. But out of all the Star Trek that's out there, the Orville is my favorite, and it's only kind of sort of Star Trek, but not really. Um, so let's see if I can kind of unpack some of this. So let's start with what I do like. So I like some of the movies. So I'm going to go ahead and run through the movies that I do like and an overview of what I like about them. So the first one I like is Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. What I like about this one is what I think most people like about it. It has an actual compelling story. It's got good action. It's well acted. There's high stakes in the movie. It's a little bit horror. It's a little bit drama. It's a lot sci-fi. It's a little bit action. It's just a well-rounded movie, and it actually portrays the characters in a way that you fear for them because you think they're actually not going to survive this movie, and technically one of them doesn't, even though they kind of sort of retcon that at the end of this movie. We didn't know that there was going to be a retcon to that. So also there's some really cool visuals in this movie and a lot of iconic quotable lines in this movie. So this is the first of the Star Trek movies that I ever saw as a kid, and it was the one that I liked the most for the longest time. But as I go down the list, you'll kind of understand why I like some of the other ones. So the next one that I like is Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, also known as the one with the whales. This is the one where they go back in time to the 1980s, and what I like about this one is it's kind of funny. It's like a fish out of water thing. You got Spock running around learning how to use profanity. You got Captain Kirk mixing up LSD and LDS, which was funny. Um, you got the whole subplot with the whales. Again, the stakes are high in this one. They have to literally save the world. Good special effects, good pacing, good acting, decent story. Not bad. The next Star Trek movie that I like is First Contact, which is the only one of the Next Generation movies that I like. Um, I really like the Borg. The Borg was like the most interesting thing about the Next Generation, and I only watched the episodes with the Borg. Everything else bored me to tears. So, spoiler, I don't like the Next Generation all that much. But I really liked the First Contact. Again, this was like a sci-fi horror action movie. It's got a little bit of horror, a little bit of action, a lot of sci-fi, some time travel, which I always enjoy when they do time travel. And I really like the Borg as a villain. It's one of the most interesting villains in the Star Trek universe. The next Star Trek movie I like is Star Trek 2009. This is the first reboot. Now, I do not like this one as much as the previous ones, but it's enjoyable. Enjoyable enough that I do own it on Blu ray. It's one of the few Star Trek movies I do own on Blu ray. The rest I own on DVD. Um, the other one that I own on Blu ray is First Contact, because that's my favorite of all of them. And it's the only one that I felt was like justified, deserving of a Blu ray. The rest of them I'm fine with DVD. The only reason why I have 2009 on Blu ray instead of DVD is because when I went into Best Buy, they had it on sale for like $6. And so I was like, I'll buy the Blu ray for $6. It wasn't a Black Friday sale, but it was one of those like Cyber Tuesday sales or something like that. It was one of those special event sales. So it was like dirt cheap. And this was at a time when Blu-rays were $30 a piece when they were new. This was like 2008, I think, or 2009. I think it had just come out on Blu-ray. Couldn't have been 2008 because the movie didn't come out till 2009. So it would have been 2010 if I'm not mistaken. Because I was living in Twin Falls at the time. Would have been before I moved to Nebraska. That's the only reason why I have that one on Blu-rays, because I got a damn good deal on it, and it was a 3-disc set. It come with the Blu-ray, the DVD, and then the third disc was special features. So it actually was a DVD as well. So it was like a really good deal. And then that's it. As far as the movies are concerned, that's literally all I can tolerate as far as Star Trek is concerned. I hate with a passion the first one, and I absolutely hate Generations. I will never watch Generations again. I will never watch the original Star Trek The Motion Picture again. The rest of the Star Trek movies, I'll only watch them if I'm watching them with a friend who happens to be a Star Trek fan, and I'll just do it as a courtesy to my friend. And there's no other reason for me to watch any other Star Treks. Now let's talk about the TV shows. Most of my beef is with the original series, but I also have an issue with some of the other ones. But I'm just gonna kind of hit the bullet points. So long story short, my parents were big Star Trek nuts, and I was a Star Wars fan. And my parents forced me to watch Star Trek with them because, in their mind, and this is a direct quote, my dad said, it's just like Star Wars, which is bullshit. It's nothing like Star Wars. I don't know why he would say that. I don't think he ever watched Star Wars, if he would say that. But he was adamant that if I liked Star Wars, I should like Star Trek. And so I literally watched every fucking episode of the original series. I've seen them all. They did nothing for me. Nothing. They did literally nothing for me. In the late 80s, I believe it was 1987, I was probably 5 or 6 years old when The Next Generation came out. So I was a big fan of reading Rainbow, and I knew that LeVar Burton, who was the host of Reading Rainbow, was on Star Trek The Next Generation. My mom, who had been a big Star Trek fan, the original series, basically wanted to watch Star Trek The Next Generation with me. She wanted me to watch it with her because we didn't watch a lot of TV shows together, and this was one she thought I would like. So we sat down and watched the first half of the first season together, week after week, as they came out. And we both got bored with it. Literally, we both got bored with it. So I'm like, I'm done. I'm not interested. I don't want to watch anymore. And she's like, that's fine. You don't have to. And she stopped watching it. So even my mom who was a fan of the original series, was not a fan of Next Generation. Now, fast forward a few years, and harboring a lot of animosity towards Star Trek, I swore it off. I was like, I'm not interested. I'm not going to watch it at all. And in 2006, I think it was, Netflix launched their streaming service, and I signed up when it launched. So I had Netflix from the day it launched up until April of this year. So I literally had Netflix from the day it launched up until April of this year. And there was a time where they had fucking everything, and they had every episode of every Star Trek season on Netflix. So I thought, okay, fine, fuck it, I'll sit down and give it a shot. I forced myself to watch the first 3 seasons of The Next Generation. When I say forced myself, I mean I would watch an episode and I would go like 3 months and I couldn't watch any more of it. And then I would watch another episode and go 3 months, and then I was like, you know what, fuck this, I'm done. I can't do it. Now I know some of it, as I've previously stated, is because my parents forced me to watch the original series, and I have animosity towards it for that. But also, it's boring as fuck to me. There's literally like whole episodes where nothing happens, and I don't understand why it's so fucking popular. So yeah, that's basically my beef with Star Trek, and never gonna change my mind. No, I've seen it all, and I don't care. It's none of it's any good to me.